Hello, welcome back to the Canon Sports Show. Today we have our first NFL podcast. Yes, NFL podcast. We are just going to be doing some little preseason NFL stuff, going over my top 5 teams in the NFL, top 5 worst teams, go over the top 5 players at each position, go over my preseason award choices, preseason playoff predictions, and yeah, I'm looking forward to making these. Hopefully, can make some good ones. Obviously, comments are always available, right? So if you guys disagree with some of them, put them in there. I want to hear you guys' opinions. I feel like for the most part, especially my players, my top 3, I'm gonna pretty much stay locked in on. Maybe not in the same order, but I'll agree with the top 3. But those last 2 spots, I can see a lot of people making them. And again, these are my just preseason predictions. Or not preseason predictions for players, I guess. This is as of right now. And based off of last year. That could change a lot this season. There's a lot of guys I think they're going to drop off. But there's also some guys that are going to bounce back. And some guys that are going to have great years. Anyway, let's get into it. This is going to be fun. Hopefully. My top 5 teams going into the NFL this season have to be the Chiefs, reigning champs. They probably have the best roster right now in the NFL. Not even a question. Best offense. Not best defense, sorry. But they do the best offense. They have really solid defense. And they have guys that are going to get better, too. Like Isaiah Pacheco. He's just going to get better. And Mahomes can still get better, too. That's the crazy thing. The Eagles still have one of the best rosters in the league. One of the best defenses still in the league. Hurts, I think, is going to have a great year. I think he's going to be a top 2. I think he's going to be MVP candidate this season. I think he's going to be top 2. Bengals surrounding Burrow with more and more talent. He's only getting better. Jamar Chase is only getting better. This is a good team that I think is going to rival the Chiefs in the playoffs again this year. I think it'll be one of these 2 teams that represents the AFC. The AFC is stacked, though. The Dolphins are a really good team, and I don't believe they've done it at this point in time of recording this, at least. Gotten Dalvin Cook, but there's rumors that he might go there, and apparently Cook and Hopkins want to play together, so maybe they get Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Hopkins. That would be crazy to think about. Dolphins are a really good team, though. The biggest outlier is Tua, but I think that Tua is a solid enough quarterback to get them over the hump. And I'm not going to lie, at the time of recording this, I put the Bills. My mistake, for whatever reason, I'm stupid. The 49ers should have been there. For whatever reason, I could not think of them off the top of my head at the time. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm having a really slow day. I'm very tired. But the 49ers are one of the best rosters in the NFL. The only reason I have them 5th and not higher is because I don't know about their quarterback situation. Purdy had a good year, but no one had seen him play. He might not have that same year. We have no idea what's happening right now with Trey Lance. Sorry, I blinked on his name for a second. But they're a really good team. They have the best defense in the league right now. It's going to be interesting to see where they finish off. Ooh, Jesus Christ. Okay, we're not going to do that. Worst teams in the NFL. Cardinals are the worst team in the NFL. They are fucking atrocious. Their roster is horrible. They are going to finish with the worst record. I will say, so the Texans and Rams here, I wouldn't actually mind switching these 2. I feel the Rams have a worse roster. I feel like their offense is just so sluggish, whereas the Texans at least have a young, hungry quarterback who, so far from what I'm hearing and seeing, looks really good in this Texans offense. And they have a new coach, so it's only going to be going up for the Texans. So you could argue that these 2 are switched, but for now, I'll keep the Texans here. They still have a lot of inexperienced players, and then it's like their inexperienced players aren't paired with like good, vets. They're shitty vets. They don't really have a lot of good players on their team. The Rams, again, we talked about it. They have some good defensive players. They still got Aaron Donald, obviously, but their offense is bad. Stafford's bad. Cooper Kupp is like their only good offensive player, you could say at this point in time. They have a couple of good wide receivers, to be fair. I just don't think the Rams are going to be good again this year. The Raiders are horrible now. They have Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. That's about it. The Raiders are not going to be good. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. The Bears, I think, actually could be better than the fifth worst team in the NFL. I think that they've made some good moves this offseason. It's going to be interesting to see how those pan out, see how Fields is this year. He's got a bit more O-line around him. He's got an actual offensive weapon in DJ Moore. It's going to be fun to see what the Bears do this season. I think they could be really good. My top quarterbacks currently in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. If you disagree with that, you're fucking stupid. Joe Burrow is close behind him, though. He's phenomenal as well. Him and his ability to work with Chase is fantastic. Josh Allen is still a really good quarterback in this league. He just needs to take that next step into getting himself into the Super Bowl. Like he just hasn't done that in his career. It's like he kind of falls apart, and that's like the one thing. If he doesn't do that this year, he might drop from the top five. Because at the end of the day, it's like you can be so talented, but if you're not getting your team to the Super Bowl, whereas these three quarterbacks here have, it's tough to put them there. Jalen Hurts is ridiculously good. I think he's going to have a really good year. We talked about that earlier. Jalen Hurts is a fantastic player. I'm excited to see him play. Again, when Jalen Hurts was drafted late, and I believe in the first round, I said that he was going to be a steal for the Eagles, and he has turned out to be a steal. Justin Herbert, I think he's going to have a great year. I feel like especially if they can get Eckler's contract situated, Herbert's going to be good. Like that Chargers team was the most injured team last year, and they still played really well actually. Though their playoffs didn't go as expected. Herbert's still a fantastic quarterback though. It's going to be fun to see him play this year. I think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback when it's all said and done this year. So, moving on to my top running backs in the NFL. Josh Jacobs, as of now, is the best running back in the NFL. Finished with the most all-purpose yards. He's just a fantastic player. I think he's going to prove himself more this season. Especially on a really bad Raiders team, he's going to stand out. He is going to be the guy that stands out. I could see him getting traded. Just because that Raiders team is not winning shit. And I think the Raiders, they understand that it's hard to build around a running back. Like, you just don't do that in the NFL. So they might trade him for some pieces this year. So it'd be fun to see if Jacobs potentially goes to, a contender. That could be fun. Christian McCaffrey, he bounced back from injuries after having injury-ridden seasons for like 3 seasons straight, some shit like that. A great year. Proved himself to be one of the best running backs in the league, but not only that, but one of the best running backs / wide receivers in the league. He can just play anywhere, and he really is going to be utilized super well in San Francisco. Derrick Henry, same thing. Bounced back from a bad injury. That Tennessee Titans team sucks. That O-line is horrible as well. Derrick Henry makes that O-line look so much better than they actually are. Like, Derrick Henry is an absolute freak. People act like this dude's not a top 5 running back in the NFL. Like, he ran for 2,000 yards. He is a top 5 running back in the NFL. Like, I don't know, if you put him on that Eagles team and give him that O-line, I don't even want to think about how many yards that man would have right now. Obviously, there's a lot of things that Henry lacks, but he's a big-ass dude with so much speed for how big he is, a lot of power. And on top of that, like, he just reads things really well. He makes really good cuts. Like, he's able to find those little gaps. And for a big man, like, he makes them well. Nick Chubb had a great year. I think he's going to have another really good year. He's been one of the most consistent running backs in the past, 5 years. I think he's going to have a great year. That Browns team is not going to be amazing, but Chubb's going to be really good, and he might help them win some games. Saquon Barkley. I think everyone was happy to see Saquon bounce back and have a really good year. We all wanted him to, and he had a great year, and he established himself as a top 5 running back. And I think he could build on top of that and potentially even move himself up to the number 1 spot. Potentially. But I'm excited to see all these guys play. Obviously, I'm a big fantasy football guy, so I'm hoping I can get one of these guys at least, because I just love watching running backs play. I think that obviously it's one of the least important positions now you can say because look at Dalvin Cook, he got cut for nothing. But I think that running backs are one of the best things to watch in the NFL. I think it's so much fun when you see, Derrick Henry break off for a 70-yard touchdown run. So I'm excited to see how this goes. Top wide receivers this year. I feel like it's a pretty easy choice to put Justin Jefferson here at number one. He's the best wide receiver in the league. He's established that now, and he's only going to build on top of that. This kid's young still. He's only going to get better. I've not seen a guy play like him in a long time. I traded for him last year in fantasy, mid-season, something like that, because he was just going off. And I was like, I can trade away 4 of my players that aren't even combined getting as much as he is. Jamar Chase and Tyreek Hill. I like both of these guys. You could flip-flop them. I think you can make arguments for both. They're both great players. Chase, his connection with Burrow is unmatched, but then his ability to high point the ball, get into open space, make plays. And I don't know, he's got that swagger about him, Just, he's a fantastic player. Tyreek Hill as well. Him and Tua actually had a pretty good connection. He's working well in that Dolphins offense. He's so fast. He just finds a way to get open and make big plays happen. He's a big play just waiting to happen. Devontae Adams, despite being on that dumpster fire of a team called the Raiders, he is still one of the top 5 wide receivers in the NFL. His route running, besides maybe Justin Jefferson, probably the best in the league. And then his ability to catch the ball in traffic, his ability to especially score in the red zone is really impressive. Stephon Diggs as well is a really good player. Him and Josh Allen have a really good connection. And it's interesting, though, because there's been a lot of talks about Diggs and the Bills not really working. I think there's a contract dispute, something like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what progresses later down the season with them. Because, again, if they can't agree on a contract, they might trade him. I think that's a possibility, but we'll see. I love Diggs, though. He's a great player. He's a great wide receiver. Top tight ends. It really isn't even a point to talk about top tight ends. Kelsey's the best tight end right now in the NFL. He was the only tight end last year that finished with over 1,000 yards receiving. Though Andrews probably would have if Jackson hadn't been injured for so long. But Kelsey's the best tight end in the league. Mark Andrews is a really good, solid second option, though. TJ Hawkinson did well for Detroit and did well for the Vikings when he got traded. I think he's going to have a really good year with the Vikings again this season, especially with Justin Jefferson being the best wide receiver in the NFL and getting so much of the defense's attention. He's going to find himself with a lot of open space. George Kittle's another great option. So this is where the 49ers situation is interesting. Kittle is, I think, easily could be second best tight end in the NFL. But he just hasn't been. Why is that? It's because Trey Lance doesn't throw it to Kittle. That was one of the big differences that we saw with Trey Lance versus Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy threw it to Kittle, and it worked because Kittle's really good. Whereas Lance didn't really throw it to him and didn't do as well because of it. Obviously he had the injuries. We didn't really get to see all of Lance last year. But again, Purdy had such a great introduction to the league. Why? One, he's going into a team that has Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, and George Kittle. But he actually utilized his weapons. And that's what I think makes Purdy maybe a better start over Trey Lance. Unless Trey Lance uses Kittle, it's going to be hard. And then Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram really found himself a nice home there in Jacksonville. Him and Trey Lance, I don't know why the fuck it. Trevor Lawrence. Him and Trevor Lawrence really found a connection last year. Lawrence is developing more and more into a great quarterback. Jacksonville's going to be a team to watch next year. They could surprise people, I think. They got a playoff win that no one thought they had a chance at getting, so it's going to be fun to see them play this year. Fun to see how Trevor Lawrence develops more. Obviously, they got Christian Kirk on that team who had a really good year with them. They got a lot of really good solid pieces there. They are missing some star power, but again, like I said, Trevor Lawrence has been developing. Maybe he develops to the next level. of superstardom. Maybe. We'll see. So, my top D lineman, I could have done D tackle and then D end, but it's so hard to like differentiate D tackles because some of them do different things. And I don't know, I figured I'd just do like one big one. So Nick Bosa is the best D lineman right now in the league. He won Defensive Player of the Year for a reason. Nick Bosa, he just gets to the quarterback so much. He was number 1 in sacks this year. Like, he's a defensive nightmare. Parsons, though, was close. Parsons is phenomenal. He's played 2 years in the NFL and has already established himself. Like, going into last year, he was a top 5 defensive lineman. And once again, he is a top 5 defensive lineman for a reason. He can play that edge rusher position so well, but he can also line at linebacker, though I think that he's going to be exclusively playing at the end now. So, or not necessarily the end, sorry, like edge rusher. But he's just a phenomenal player. I'm excited to see him play this year. I think he'd be really good. It really sucks that he's on the Cowboys because I fucking hate the Cowboys, dude. But anyway, Aaron Donald, despite being on that dumpster fire of a team called the LA Rams, Aaron Donald is still one of the best defensive players in the world. He plays defensive tackle, and he still gets crazy amounts of sacks and tackles. Like, he's, like Bosa, a defensive nightmare. You have to double him. If you don't, you're fucked. Myles Garrett, he had a quieter year than he is used to having, but he's still a top 5 defensive lineman. He's just a phenomenal player. I mean, like, we've seen him get to the quarterback in multiple ways, you know, like, he can line up on the end and get around the outside. He can kind of, you know, power himself in through the inside. We've seen him take off his helmet and get the quarterback that way. Or not his helmet, sorry, the quarterback's helmet and get him that way. God, I fucked up that joke. God damn it. But no, I love Garrett. He's a great player. He's going to be really good this season again, I think. I hope so too. He's probably one of my favorite D linemen in the league. Hassan Reddick, he's just been a really solid edge rusher for past few seasons. But he really did well with the Eagles last year. High in sacks. I think he's only going to get better too as he gets more and more comfortable. That was his first year with the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it was his second. I can't remember. But Reddick's a really good player. I think right now he's a top 5 D lineman. Alright, moving on to the top 5 linebackers. Fred Warner, he's easily the best linebacker in the league right now. He's the spearhead of that 49ers defense. Him and Bosa, you can argue which one's better. Bosa gets to the quarterback a lot, but Warner does everything. Like, he'll sack the quarterback, but his run defense is great, his passing defense is great, his ability to lead the defense is great. He's easily their centerpiece on that defensive side for the 49ers, and he's going to establish himself, I think, even more as the number 1 linebacker in the league. Levante David, though, he's a phenomenal player as well. He's playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. Obviously, when they won the Super Bowl, he was a big reason why they won. Now, obviously the team's not nearly as good anymore, but he's still going to be one of the top linebackers in the league. He's still going to establish that more this season. Demario Davis, another guy, not exactly on the greatest team, but easily one of the best linebackers. You just see it in everything he does. Like, everything that he does on that linebacker position is phenomenal. Shaquille Leonard, same sort of situation. Like, on the Colts, not a great team. Though I think that Colts team could be good this year. It's just going to depend on health and quarterback situation, to be honest. They drafted Anthony Richardson, if I'm not mistaken. So if he turns out to be good, that could be a good team this year. But Shaquille Leonard's just a great player. He does everything for them. And then Roquan Smith, he is a great player as well. Roquan Smith on that Ravens linebacker core, he's going to be great. He's going to be probably their best defender that they have. You know, he's just going to be a great guy this year for them. Obviously, he got to play a little bit last year with them. The Ravens, though, kind of fell apart, mainly due to Lamar Jackson not being able to play. But I think that he's going to be a huge reason why that Ravens team is going to be successful. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry about that. Moving on to the top cornerbacks in the NFL. I'm going to get hate for this. Jair Alexander is the best cornerback in the NFL. He just does everything. He tackles. He defends well. Defends the pass well. Gets interceptions. He's the best cornerback in the NFL. I think he's going to establish that this year. Like, there's a reason why guys don't throw it to him. I think, like, I just personally think he's the best cornerback in the NFL. I'm not even a Packers fan. I just love Jair Alexander. I love everything that he does. I think that he easily stands out amongst most cornerbacks. Darius Slay had a great season with that Eagles defense. Obviously, the Eagles defense is stacked, but Slay is a big reason why they were so good in the passing defense. I think he's going to have another great season with them. I think he's going to establish himself more. Sauce Gardner. This man's a rookie. Or he was coming off his rookie season, and he's currently ranked, on my list at least, third best. Like, he's a phenomenal player. I think he could win Defensive Player of the Year this season. The way that he plays, like, he's just fantastic. I've never seen a rookie cornerback play like that. Jalen Ramsey, I would have him higher. I feel you could argue Jalen Ramsey's a top 3 cornerback. He just didn't have that great of a year. He didn't have as good of a year as we expect from Jalen Ramsey. He's actually got pretty good stats, but if you go and like watch those games, he gave up a lot of touchdowns that he didn't need to. He gave up a lot of yards that he didn't need to. I still think he's a top 5 player in the league, but I personally just don't think after last season, as of right now, I don't think he's better than any of those top 3. But I can understand arguments for it. And Patrick Surtain the second. I feel like this 5th spot you could argue for a lot of guys, but Surtain is just phenomenal. Like, he just does everything super well. Just has really good stats. Like, he had 12 games last year where he allowed less than 25 receiving yards. That's incredible. He's a great player. I think he could seriously establish himself more to the top this season. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. I like Surtain a lot. And especially, too, now with a new coaching staff, he's going to be better, I think. Anyway, let's move on to the top safeties in the league. Mika Fitzpatrick's the best safety in the league right now. I'm a Budda Baker fan because he's on the Cardinals. They're my team. I want to put Baker first, but I can't. Minka Fitzpatrick is the best safety in the league by a wide margin. Budda, however, is the second best safety in the league. I feel like you can argue any of these 3 in any order, to be honest. But I'd have Baker above Derwin James purely just because I feel like Baker makes bigger plays than Derwin James. Baker gets involved in every single run play. Like, he can come in from nowhere and make something happen. You could argue the same for James as well. But especially, too, with Baker on the Cardinals, who struggled a lot on defense last year. Baker really made himself known on that defense. Like, he was the reason why the Cardinals weren't the worst defense in the league. Derwin James, though, is phenomenal as well. I can definitely see why you'd put him ahead of Baker. I am honestly biased towards Baker, too, so that could be a big reason why I put him above. Justin Simmons is another guy for the Broncos who's a great safety. Again, like we talked about with Surtain II, Simmons the same way. Could get a lot better this year. It's going to be interesting to see how he plays with that new system, new coaches. Antoine Winfield Jr. is a big reason why that Bucs defense, as well as Levante David, is good. It's going to be fun to see him play again. And I think he's still youngish, too, if I'm not mistaken, Winfield Jr., so he can still improve. But it's going to be tough because that team's just not going to be good this year. So, my preseason award predictions. So, I want to clarify something, too. All my award predictions are predictions. And these are preseason award predictions. After the 4th week of the NFL games, I will make my final predictions. These are just because I want to see the teams. I want to see how the players are. Because I don't know, like, maybe someone gets injured in the first 4 weeks or whatever. So I just want to do this. That's just something fun to do. But I'm going to give my, like, official predictions after week 4. So, MVP, Patrick Mahomes. That's a given. He's the best player in the league right now. That's just a fact. I think he's going to win MVP again, barring injury. DPOY, Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is a phenomenal player. I think that he's going to really take that leap this year, especially if he's playing full-time edge rusher. I think he's going to lead the league in sacks, if I'm being honest. I'm excited to see what he does. Though I do think it will be a close race with him and Nick Bosa. Offensive Player of the Year, Justin Jefferson. Again, we talked about this. Best wide receiver in the NFL. He's just so exciting to watch. He just does everything well. I think he's going to win again. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Bijan Robinson. He's a phenomenal player. I loved watching him play for Texas. I'm going to love watching him play for the Falcons. Might look to get him fantasy this year. I think he's going to be that good. Defensive Rookie of the Year. That's going to surprise people. I think Jalen Carter's going to win. And it's like he plays D-tackle. That's not like a flashy position necessarily. But with that Eagles defense, he's going to stand out, I think. And I think he's going to really just have a phenomenal season. I feel like Will Anderson's going to be good, but I don't feel like he's going to settle in as much. But I could be wrong. I think him and Will Anderson will battle for that. But anyway, those are my preseason award predictions. As of now, again, like I said, 4 weeks in, I'll make my final ones. My preseason playoff predictions. NFC champs. I'm going to have the 49ers winning. I think that their team is just stacked. I think if they get their quarterback situation together, which I think they will win with ease. Moving on to the AFC champs, I think the Chiefs are going to win again. They're going to have the MVP Mahomes, the best roster in the league. The Chiefs, I think, are going to win the AFC championship again, though I do think it's going to be a close game versus the Bengals. And then Super Bowl champs, I have the Chiefs winning again. I feel like Mahomes is going to step up. I feel like the 49ers' young quarterback isn't going to be able to lead their team against the Chiefs. And then I think Super Bowl MVP will be Patrick Mahomes. Again, I'm going to make, so all the award and preseason play predictions, I will make again 4 weeks in. Those will be my final predictions. But for now, this is what I think is going to happen. But anyway, I feel like that's basically everything I wanted to talk about. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any, again, if you want to talk about any of this stuff, comment. If you have disagreements, tell me. Like I would love to, like, message you guys in the comments and I just talk about you guys' predictions as well. What you guys think. But yeah, make sure to like the video if you liked it, or dislike it. To be honest, I get it. Don't dislike it, please. Subscribe. You gotta subscribe because subscribing is important. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you all have a great day.